This is SEMA Central. I'm Kevin Oste here at the 2017 SEMA Trade Show in Las Vegas, having a few pre-show laughs with my buddy Steve Magnante.
Yeah,
Steve,
Kevin.
how you doing?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. So you're kind of all over the place these days.
Well, I wear a lot of different hats. The primary one is, well, the Barrett-Jackson auctions on Velocity Channel. 15 years been doing that. And
Can you believe that?
It's amazing. It only feels like 9.
Yeah, right. It only feels like 20.
Yeah, we just wrapped up actually Mandalay Bay in Vegas 2 weeks ago, and I live in Massachusetts now. I spent 16 years in Los Angeles where we worked together, and I moved back to Massachusetts 9 years ago. The winters aren't so fun, but the rest of it's okay. You know, good to be back.
You get to travel.
Yes, yeah. When there's an airport, I can work.
Yeah, yeah. That's got to be a fun, challenging, and sometimes stressful gig.
Well, yeah, it is. The thing with that is, you know, folks who watch that show, I have a notepad in my hand. I don't pretend to know everything about every car. I'm a student and I'll never stop being one. But we have 4 minutes per car to either get it right or screw up. So I make sure that I don't guess, and I bring things about the car to light that it wouldn't otherwise tell you. Like a GTO with a 3-speed manual, I say, let's get the chassis cam. We show the underside. Is it the Saginaw 3-speed or the Muncie heavy duty? Let's look. So the notes help me to stay one step ahead of the cars. And
well, don't let him fool you. The guy knows almost everything about this stuff. I'll give you that without a doubt. So in addition to Barrett, you've got other programs going on and some new stuff.
Well, yeah, I got to say, just recently I was in Hot Rod Magazine for a bunch of 7 years, and I was there with you.
Yep.
And now there's a thing called Junkyard Gold, which is kind of an evolution of the whole roadkill dynasty. And we shot the second episode a week ago right now. I was in Berniston, Massachusetts, at Berniston Auto Wrecking, getting soaked to the bone, shooting episode 2. We did it. We got it done. We found a lot of cool stuff, a lot of early vans, a 67 Coronet RT. And
in the junkyard?
In the junkyard, yeah. And
in Mass?
In Massachusetts. It was rotten, it was junk. But the thing is, just because a car is rusted in 2 pieces doesn't mean it's useless. You can still learn from it. And I have to say that, you know, I think that most car people, show cars are one thing, but we're also cool with relics and wrecks because we can look at them, drool on them, and just say, wow, how'd this happen? It's fascinating, even if they're not savable. And that's kind of the premise of Junkyard Gold. 12 episodes will wander the country looking for, well, tragic wreckage, Edsels, Corvairs, whatever it might be, but just point out the cool stuff about those cars.
Yeah, now, you and I have known each other a long time. I don't know your early childhood story, but I would guess that maybe you were born in a junkyard. You're just compelled to be in them. And
you might think it. My dad was an optical physicist. My mom was a graphic designer. My brother is an eye surgeon. They don't know where I came from. You know, my dad didn't do cars at all. But my thing was Matchbox cars when I was about 7 or 8, and model cars. Yeah. And then I went to college. Dad said, no cars for you till after college. Okay. So when I got out of college, I bought a 68 Hemi Charger in 1986 when you could still buy them for a reasonable sum. I drove that for 3 years, sold it, made some money on it. And it is lucky that we were there, both of us, in the times when you could still buy, you know, 396 Chevelles for $5,000-6,000.
Right.
So we kind of were I was second string owners of these things, but got to know them well.
Well, the cool thing is, and back when we were doing Hot Rod TV, you were a force behind getting into junkyards, and not necessarily to take parts off cars, but to do what you're doing now, to study them, to tell that story. There's a line I never forget, shooting an old episode of Hot Rod TV. We had, I don't even remember the car, but kind of a high-profile, high-zoot car in the junkyard, and the line was, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen."
It's true, you know. I mean, well, you got to remember that, you know, cars have 2 life cycles. One of them is from the dealership on out, and in the one before that, from the pre-production prototypes and mules and sketch pads to the dealership. So there's kind of 2 sides to it. But to find rarities and unusual cars in a junkyard that other people have taken for granted is shocking and fun.
So on Junkyard Gold, are we putting things together? Are we more of a history student?
Well, you know, the thing with it is, it remains to be seen. I think, you know, for now, we're going to keep it kind of stripped down and just basically focus on telling a good story. It's like diving on the Titanic. You don't need to raise it, as long as we know what we're looking at and somebody explains what we're looking at and why it's important. I think that holds the show together. We may do some stuff where we find a car and rebuild it later, but often that is like an octopus with too many tentacles. So we'll keep it simple for now, but who knows?
And I think that show definitely has a place, you know, because there's certainly a lot of, especially within the rest of the Hot Rod and Velocity properties, there's people doing that in that fold, and what you're doing is vastly different. And those stories are compelling, especially the way you tell them.
Yeah, well, it's just the thing, I love cars. The thing I don't like about any car, they don't talk. We have to give them a voice, I mean, we can't guess about it, but cars do talk if you listen and add up the clues, like a Z28 or a 6-cylinder Chevelle or a 6-cylinder coupe. Those are two very similar but very different things. And if you know what to look for, you can tell what it was born as and what it is now.
Well, then people can take that away, and maybe if they're looking for something similar, they can say, hey, I remember Steve showing me in a junkyard something that was all exploded apart, what to look for, and this car doesn't have it.
Yeah, just showing and telling. And one thing too is my hope is that, the glad thing, we're seeing a lot of younger people here at SEMA, and I'm hoping that young folks see the show and anything we're doing and basically get the bug and get involved in cars, because it's funny, I'm 54, and there was a time when I was a young guy, but now I find myself almost the oldest guy in the room half the time. It's kind of weird. So we have to spread the love and interest in cars, and SEMA is a fantastic venue for that. I see a lot of young folks. Anybody in their 20s around here is the future, and I'm seeing a lot of younger people, which is cool.
And the organization and the industry appreciates you doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, the whole
Steve,
circle.
where can they see the show?
Well, it's on, I think it's on Motor Trend On Demand, anywhere that you tune in on that. One episode, the pilot is already on at Turner's Auto Wrecking in Fresno, California. The second episode, I believe, debuts December 1st. They're cutting it and editing it right now. And I know that in the next couple of weeks, we're going to go on the road and hit many boneyards and just dig up more footage and more cool cars. And they will be airing, I think, as we get into 2018.
Right on. Great stuff, man. Always good to hear what's latest, and we appreciate watching everything you do, man.
Well, thank you.
Steve Magnante, good friend of mine here at the SEMA Central stage at the 2017 SEMA show in Las Vegas.